The technology we use to play games didn't just come out of nowhere. Beyond the years of technological iteration, long have we dreamed as human beings of the kinds of cool stuff that might be possible someday. The good news is that if you're watching this video, you've lived long enough to see a lot of this tech come into existence. Today, we're going to take a look at 5 pieces of contemporary gaming technology that were and are inspired by what we've imagined on TV and in movies. Virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, upscaling, and computer-generated graphics. As a disclaimer, we aren't going to get into the incredible nuance inherent to these kinds of tech, and instead stick to talking about the big picture. Want to know how far we've come with this tech and how much more there is to discover? You're in the right place. Buckle up and strap in, and let's jump into gaming technology that was inspired by movies and TV. Whether you're a weeb king or functional human, you've probably heard about Sword Art Online at some point. In SAO, we enter a world where video games are real.
If I die in the game, I'll die in real life.
Essentially, you get a full-body virtual reality experience powered by both your mind and fancy technology, not a screen. This idea of virtual reality, one where you get fully inserted into a totally new world, 360 degrees, all your senses working as normal, has existed in media for a long time precisely because of how cool it sounds. Chances are, even with dangers, a lot of people would sign up for this kind of video game experience. But unfortunately, virtual reality today is nowhere near this. VR today, in the form of something like an Oculus Rift, PlayStation VR, or Valve Index, involves a headset you strap on with 2 screens operating at a high refresh rate, placed close to your eyeballs in order to trick your brain into thinking you're actually where what's being shown on screen. Don't get us wrong, VR today works and is an honest-to-God revelation for longtime video gamers, but it falls way short of the pop culture imaginings of it. This will change in time though, because virtual reality is a new technology that's constantly being innovated on and improved. Likely in a decade, VR will look and play completely differently from how it does today, and much of the initial awkwardness and discomfort produced by early versions of the technology will disappear. Are we that close to Sword Art Online style virtual reality? Well, no. But VR today still has a long way it can go in not too long a time. Augmented reality is distinct from virtual reality, gets a lot less play in the media and in games. But nobody, gamer or average person, can or will forget the phenomenon that was and is Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go sees players interact with virtual Pokemon in real-world locations. But if you've ever played the game, you know it's not all that impressive as far as immersion goes. In TV and film, we're all familiar with the kind of smart glasses or smart technology you can simply equip and use to get all sorts of useful real-time information. Naturally, these kinds of devices would make excellent, interesting gaming platforms. Imagine a pair of smart glasses that ran a game that genuinely turned your life into an RPG. All sorts of novel experiences would be possible on this tech. While there are things like Google Glass and Microsoft has done some interesting work in the AR space, and Apple continues to be rumored to be working on a smart glasses product, none of this technology has ever really left an R&D lab or product showroom. Most of the technology necessary to build such a device does already exist. The complexity lies within designing software that can, in real time, analyze and respond to an enormous, constantly updating stream of data. Reality. All done, of course, instantaneously so as not to make the device too annoying to use. Depending on the features, we may see smart glass-style products come to market in just a few years. But we're more than a few years out from how we've seen the tech in media.
Dope glasses, Parker. How'd you pay for these?
Artificial intelligence is one of TV and film's great loves. AI is really fun to play with in a story because the possibilities are endless. Most often, we tend to see artificial humans, like in Ex Machina or in Cyberpunk 2077, or at least clusters of data that can run a program you talk with and interact with indistinguishably from an actual human. True artificial intelligence. This kind of intelligence doesn't really exist right now, and the AI in games is a far cry from this kind of intelligence. Enemy and NPC intelligence isn't true intelligence in the sense that these characters are capable of making independent decisions, but rather that they're given a routine and the ability to react to certain things. Bots and Cleverbot are close to actual AI, but they're still just complicated algorithms that take an input and produce an output. Eventually, one day, we will see NPCs capable of more complicated decision-making, even if they still aren't actual artificial intelligence, but major leaps in this area will come gradually, because these kinds of calculations require a lot of power and take a lot of time to code and get working properly. This is good news, though. Chances are, if you're an adult now, you won't definitely live to see the rise of the machines. Remember any of the approximately 600 billion crime shows produced any time in the last few decades? If you do, you'll probably recall a scene much like this. A grizzled detective walks into a bright, clean lab, and some quirky character will appear to do the nerd stuff and tell the detective what's what. Invariably, they'll have to zoom in on an image and they'll need to make out some kind of fine detail, like a license plate number. Someone will then, naturally, call for the picture to be enhanced.
Can you enhance it?
A button is pressed, and there you go. Crystal clear quality. This isn't a thing. And still, this kind of real-time enhancement where you can zoom in endlessly on a picture and retain detail still isn't a thing either. But upscaling is a very real technology that works by training an algorithm with lower resolution and higher resolution images until the algorithm can generate a high resolution image from an inputted low resolution image. This technology in games like NVIDIA's DLSS enables performance games like Cyberpunk 2077 that today, at 4K and max settings, run at way less than 60 FPS on even a 3080 to double their frame rates for a barely perceptible reduction in image quality. Instead of buying increasingly expensive hardware to run at exponentially higher and higher resolutions, a good upscaling solution will allow gamers to achieve high frame rates and high-quality graphics settings with even moderate rigs. Plus, for all those conspiracy nuts out there, companies like NVIDIA wouldn't fear losing business from these kinds of solutions, because gamers will always want higher resolutions and frame rates. So the better hardware you have, the better you can take advantage of upscaling. For a long time, movies like Tron were built to blow people's minds because of their otherworldly special effects and CGI/green screen sequences. Oftentimes, special effects veered too much into the uncanny valley and looked more silly than anything else. This wasn't ever really because of artistic laziness, but mostly because of time and money. Rendering these kinds of sequences was expensive because it took many computers, advanced software, and a lot of time to get them right. So, if you didn't have all the time and money to invest in perfecting the effects in your movie, they would look B-grade. With the advent of accessibility of game engines and development software, using video game developmental tools to enable and support the creation of film and television is an actual reality today. For many movies, they imagine some kind of new way of playing games not yet possible. But in this case, the way games are being made is enabling movies to let us better imagine what games can be. It's a wonderful symbiotic relationship. And as game engines become more accessible and more robust and more photorealistic, the cost to make movies with a lot of special effects will go down, and we will see more of them with new and inventive ideas. What's important to keep in mind is that though human beings will continue to develop tech once relegated to the world of science fiction, likely the most astonishing discoveries will come in the form of things never thought possible suddenly becoming so. The future is bright, people.